again, Ma'am Sarlene, to explain to you the last part of our module number 1, which is about electron configuration. So why do we have an electron configuration? What is this for? So this electron configuration coming from the word itself, electron configuration, it is referring to the arrangement of electrons in an atom. So dun sa mga nakaraang pinag-aralan natin, ang inaral natin ay posisyon ng electrons, kung siya ba'y talagang may eksaktong position, and we prove it that wala naman talaga silang eksaktong position, and there is only a probability where you can find it using atomic orbital. And this atomic orbital of electrons just look like a cloud of negative charges, na para siyang ulap na punong-puno ng negative charges na wala naman talagang eksaktong position, which we prove from the idea of the quantum mechanical model, which is our last topic from the previous video. Now, on our video today, we will focus on the arrangement of the electrons, kung paano naka-arrange ang electrons ng isang atom using electron configuration. We have two principles in electron configuration. We have number 1, which is Pauli exclusion principle, and the second one is the Aufbau principle. In the Pauli exclusion principle, it is referring that there is no two electrons having the same quantum number. Di ba pinag-aralan natin yung quantum numbers on the last video? So according to Pauli exclusion principle, wala daw atom o wala daw electron na may eksaktong parehas na quantum numbers. Meaning to say, ang bawat electron ay may kanya-kanyang quantum number at walang pwedeng magkaparehas. Then, on the Aufbau principle, it describes the order or the arrangement of electrons wherein it builds up. Naka-build up na merong arrangement na parang hagdan na kung saan the lowest energy would be on the ground state and the higher energy would be on the excited state. How does an Aufbau principle looks like? Remember the subshells that we discussed on the quantum numbers? Ano-ano nga yung mga subshells? So subshells are the letters, the S, P, D, and F. In the Aufbau principle, on the arrangement and order of the electrons, we will make use of the letters S, P, D, and F as subshell. For the subshell S, it has a maximum number of 2. Hanggang 2 electrons ang kaya niya. While on the second subshell, which is P, it has a maximum number of 6. The subshell P can hold up to, ibig sabihin, pwedeng mas maunti, pero hindi lalampas sa 6 number of electrons. So, it can have 1, it can have 2, 3, 4, 5, basta wag lalampas sa 6. Then, on the subshell D, it can hold electrons in a maximum number of 10. So, kaya niyang mag-hold ng electrons hanggang 10. It could be less than 10, but not more than 10. So, it can hold at least 10 electrons. Then, the last one, which is subshell F, it can hold electrons up to 14. Tama ba? Baliktad. It can hold at least hanggang 14 number of electrons. Not more than 14. It could be less than, but not more than 14. So this is the equivalent values of our subshells in the electron configuration. You always take note that S has 2 electrons, P has 6 electrons, D has 10 electrons, and F has 14 electrons. So, dito papatak yung sinasabi natin dun sa last video from the fourth quantum number, which is the spin quantum number, about the direction of the spin of the electrons inside one box. So, mamaya natin balikan yung spin. Yung sinasabi natin kanina na off-bow principle, which is builds up from lowest energy level up to higher energy level. Wherein, this is the ground state and this would be the excited state, pataas ng pataas. Now, in electron configuration, kailangan nating i-follow itong diagram na ito so that we will have a correct order of the electron configuration. Now, on this electron configuration, we are following an arrow to be our guide. So, we will just put an arrow down para yun yung susundan natin. Arrow down from 1s, from 2s, wala pa siyang kapantay, so arrow down with the 2s, and then dadaanan natin si 2p down to 3s, and then we have 3p down to 4s, and then 3d down to 4p down to 5s, and then we have 4d down to 5p down to 6s, and then we have 4f down to 5d down to 6p down to 7s, and then the last one is 5f down to 6d down to 7p. So, yung arrows na ginawa natin dito would be our guide sa arrangement na gagawin natin in the electron configuration, since sabi natin electron configuration is the arrangement of the electrons in an atom. So, para malaman natin yung arrangement ng electrons ng isang element, so yung ating electron configuration ay magbabase sa atomic number. Now, in the atomic number, for example, we have an element, helium. So, helium has a symbol of He. So, helium has the atomic number of 2. Saan ba makikita yung atomic number? When you take a look on a periodic table, the number at the top is referring to the atomic number, but syempre it depends with the periodic table that you are holding, since there are a lot of versions of periodic table na mabibili on the bookstore, on other department stores, o kung saan man tayo nakakabili ng periodic table. Syempre may iba't iba siyang version. So, para malaman mo kung ano yung atomic number ng isang element, you have to take a look on the legend. Siyempre, may kanya-kanyang legend ang periodic table, at dun ka titingin sa legend ng periodic table na hawak mo. Kasi pwedeng mabago yung position, but mostly the position of the atomic number would be found on the upper right of the element. Basta yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng number ng element is also the atomic number. Now, in making the electron configuration, you have to take a look on its atomic number. Bakit kailangan ng atomic number? Because atomic number would be our basis sa electron configuration na gagawin natin. Kasi let's again use helium as our example with atomic number of 2. Again, take note that S has a maximum number of 2, P has a maximum number of 6, D has 10, and F has 14. So, yung number ng ating subshells would be our basis to make the electron configuration. Example, we have helium 2. So, the first electron configuration on our arrow is 1s. So, sulat mo dito si 1s. And then, again, how many number of electrons does an S can hold? An S could hold at least 2 electrons. So, mean to say, ang isang 1s is enough to make the electron configuration of helium 2. Since S has a superscript of 2, Saan galing yung 2? Ba't nagkaroon ng 2? Again, 2 is referring to the maximum number of electrons that an S can hold. And S could hold at least 2 electrons. So, ito na nga yun. So, since the number of helium is 2, and then electron configuration, and then electron configuration for the helium is already done. So, we have at least 1 S2 as electron configuration of helium. Tapos na. Bakit tapos na? Kasi ang atomic number naman ng helium ay 2 at nakabuo na tayo agad ng 2. So, that's it for the helium. Paano kung mas mahaba o mas malaki yung ating atomic number? So, for example, gawin natin si boron. So, yung boron natin has an atomic number of 5. So, B is the symbol of boron, then the atomic number of boron is 5. Since the atomic number of boron is 5, then kailangan nating makaipon ng hanggang number 5 na electron configuration gamit yung diagram natin. So, syempre, sisimulan ulit natin sa pinakauna, which is 1s. So, we have 1s. Again, what is the value of s? We have 2. So, kung meron na tayo ditong 2, ilan ba ang kailangan natin gawin? Ang kailangan natin gawin is 5. So, kung meron na tayong 2, kulang pa tayo ng 3. So, para magawa natin yung kulang na 3, let's move to the next arrow. Since wala namang kasunod pababa si 1s, then let's move to the second layer, which is arrow down to 2s. So, let's write the word 2s. Again, what is the value of S? The value of S is equivalent to number 2. Sulat mo ulit dito yung 2. So, check natin. Malay mo, tapos na. We have 2 plus 2 is equals to 4. Ilan nga ulit yung kailangan mong gawin? Kailangan mo is 5. So, tapos na ba? No, hindi pa. Kulang pa tayo ng ilan? Kulang pa tayo ng isa to make the electron configuration of the boron. Now, yung superscript natin, yun lang bang i-add? I-add ko ba itong nandito sa baba? No. Why? Because this is the energy level. This one is the subshell. Ito lang yung i-add natin, yung superscript that's referring to the number of electron. Huwag mong papakailaman yung number na malaki dito sa unahan at yung letter. Just focus on the number of electrons that you are counting at the top. Kasi yun naman yung purpose natin. Why do we make the electron configuration? Just to show the arrangement of the electrons of an element. Okay, going back. So, since we have 1s2, 2s2, at kulang pa tayo ng isa, so let's move to the next from the arrow. So, since wala namang arrow na katuro dito sa kasunod, sa 2s, so pupunta na tayo dito sa unang at sa pangatlong layer, which is 2p. So, since siya yung nasa ibabaw, wala namang mas nasa taas pa ng 2p, then let us have 2p. So, sulat mo dito si 2p. And then, what is the value of P? Again, gaano kadami ang kayang hawakan ng subshell nating P? From kanina, diniscuss natin, it can hold up to 6 number of electrons. Kailangan ko bang isulat dito 6? No. Why? Akala ko ba ang P is 6? So, hindi mo kailangan isulat yung lahat na 6 because sosobra ka from the atomic number of 5. Since ang kailangan mo lang na mga i-accomplish is atomic number 5 of boron, then just include the number na kulang pa. Since 2 plus 2 is 4, ang kulang mo na lang to make up the electron configuration of boron is 1 to make 5. Then, instead of writing 6, just write the number that is needed to fill the electron configuration of boron. Hindi ko kailangan isulat yung 6 kasi hindi naman 6 ang kailangan ko. Kaya nga sabi natin, it can hold a maximum number of 6. Meaning to say, kaya niyang humawak ng electrons hanggang 6, pero pwede namang mas maunti sa 6. Pwedeng 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hanggang 6. Huwag lang lalampas sa 6. That's why, on the 2p, we only write 1. Because we only need 1 to complete the electron configuration of boron. So we have 1s2, 2s2, 2p1 to make up the electron configuration of boron, atomic number 5. Check mo kung tama. We have 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So you're done with the electron configuration for the boron. As simple as that. As long as you are using this diagram. Kasi mahirap din namang memoryahin yung diagram. Kesa memoryahin mo, why not gawin mo na lang yung ganitong diagram on your paper para guided ka habang gumagawa ng electron configuration. Another example. Paano kung mas malaki pa? Paano kung mas mataas yung atomic number? Example, we have chlorine. Chlorine has an atomic number of 17. So, ilang electrons ang kailangan mong gawin in the chlorine? So, you have to make 17 electrons in electron configuration. So, again, start tayo kay 1s. So, we have 1s2. So, we have 1s2. Next one is 2s2. 2s2. Anong kasunod ng 2s2? Dito na tayo sa third layer. We have 2p. Do I have to write 6? Of course. Kasi mataas naman yung number na gagawin natin. Kahit i-add mo pa yan, we have 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 6 is 10. Ilan pa ang kulang mo? Kulang ka pa ng 7 to make the electron configuration of chlorine. So, continue ka ngayon. Ano yung kasunod ng 2p? The arrow is going to 3s. Susulat mo ngayon yung 3s. So, we have 3s. What's the value of s? We have the value of 2. Check mo, baka naman sumusobra ka na. So, we have 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 6 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So, kulang ka pa ulit ng 5 to make 17. So, dahil hindi ka pa tapos, punta tayo dun sa next layer. So, the next layer will be 3p. Kasunod dun 2p, we have 3p. Itong layer na to. So, sulat mo ngayon si 3p. And then, ilang superscript ang kailangan mong ilagay? We have 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 6 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So, to make 17, kulang tayo ng 5. So, bakit ko isusulat yung 6? Susobra tayo. So, kung ilan na lang yung kulang, yun na lang ang iyong ilagay. So, we have 3p, 5 to make the electron configuration for the chlorine. So, we have 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 6, 10, plus 2, 12, plus 5, 17. So, this would be the electron configuration for the chlorine 17. If you wanted to continue on practicing the electron configuration using this diagram, you just take a look on the periodic table, find an element that you wanted to make, and then look for the atomic number, and then do the electron configuration following this diagram. So just take note that count the electrons using the superscript and not the numbers in front. Next, how can we apply this electron configuration on the fourth quantum number that we discussed from the quantum numbers, which is the spin quantum number, using arrows up and arrows down? Now, to make the diagram of arrow up and arrow down in the Pauli exclusions principle, in the quantum numbers, kailangan meron ka munang electron configuration. So, dun muna tayo sa pinakamaikli. So, let us have again helium. Helium-2. So, the electron configuration for the helium-2 is 1s2. And that's it. Now, in making the spin quantum number or the fourth quantum numbers, you make a box and put an arrow up and arrow down. Paano ko malalaman kung arrow up and arrow down ang ilalagay ko? Now, for every box, it only contains one arrow up and one arrow down. Isang arrow up at isang arrow down, and that completes one box. Para sa S, since S can hold until 2 electrons, hanggang maximum of 2 number of electrons, then it consists only of one box. And that one box represents the number 2. Since dalawa lang yung kaya niyang i-hold, this is 1 and this is 2. So, yan yung number of electrons inside the box for the S subshell. So, yung box natin para dito sa helium is as simple as one box with one arrow up and one arrow down. What if naman mas mahaba pa? So, bago mo yan i-master, kailangan tandaan mo muna na ang S has only one up and one down with only one box. Kasi bakit? Dahil S can only hold until 2 electrons. Maximum na yon. While on the P subshell, it holds up to 6 electrons and one box is only equivalent to 2 electrons. At dahil 6 ang kayang i-hold ng ating P subshell, meron tayong 3 box to represent the 6 electrons. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Have you noticed, once I make the arrows, pwede ko naman kasing gawin na 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pwede kong gawin ganyan. Pero, dahil meron tayong fina-follow na rule, kailangan, when you're filling a box, bago mo punan yung kapartner, kailangan lahat muna ng box merong laman. As long as wala pang laman itong isa, hindi mo pwedeng doblehin agad yung unang box. Kailangan lamnan mo muna lahat ng boxes bago ka magdoble. So, since P has 6 electrons, we have 1, 2, 3. Ikaapat natin, saka ka magdodoble, 5, and 6. So, this is the arrow up and arrow down, or the direction of electrons, or the spin of electrons in the atom. So, it represents the arrow up and arrow down. So, that is the negative 1/2 and the positive 1/2 to make up 1, to make up 2, to make up 3 for the P subshell. Now, for the D, since D has a maximum number of 10, so magkakaroon ka ngayon ng ilang boxes for the D. So, syempre, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Kailangan meron kang 5 kahon para sa D subshell because it holds up to 10 electrons. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So, kailangan meron kang 5 kahon. Again, in filling up the boxes, kailangan fill up muna lahat ng box bago ka mag-doble. So, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, kahit naman alam mo sa sarili mo na mapupuno mo naman yung lahat ng boxes, kaya hindi mo naman mapapansin na kung talaga bang inuna mo yung lahat ng boxes bago ka magdoble, it is a good practice na sanayin mo na yung sarili mo. Lamnan muna lahat ng kahon bago ka magdoble. Kasi kahit naman alam mo sa sarili mo, mapupuno mo yan, baka kasi on the other hand, kapag hindi naman mapupuno, madala mo yung ganung practice. Mapuno mo agad yung bawat kahon. Tapos may matira kang kahon na walang laman. So you always take note that before you double the arrow of one box, make sure all the boxes have the arrows before you double with the other arrows. Basta lahat muna may laman bago yung pagdodoble. Then, of course, for the F subshell, which has a maximum number of 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So, obviously, magkakaroon ka dito ng 7 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, kahit alam mo namang mapupuno yan, you make use of the practice na lamnan muna lahat bago magdoble. So this rule of filling up the boxes is from the rule of Hand's rule. H-U-N-D-S. Hand's rule that filling up the boxes should be unang layer bago ka magdalawang layer. Paano mo to gagawin? Kailan mo to gagawin? Once na nagawa mo na yung electron configuration. Example. Example, gawin natin si boron. Boron is 5. Electron configuration for boron is 1s2, 2s2, and then 2p1. So, yun yung electron configuration natin. So, para ipakita natin yung spin ng electron, we have 1s, 1 box for 1s, arrow up, and arrow down. Then, 1 box for 2s, kasi s pa rin naman siya. So, 1 arrow up, and 1 arrow down. And then, the next one is p. So, kahit pa isa lang ang gagawin ko na electron, kailangan ko pa rin i-drawing yung buong boxes na 3. Kahit isa lang ang laman. So, since 2p1 lang yan, then we will have only 1 arrow up. Then, the rest, wala nang laman to represent 1 electron on the p subshell. So, that is for the spin. So, we have 1 box with 2 arrows, another 1 box with 2 arrows, and 3 boxes for the P with only 1 arrow because it only has 2P1. Okay, so that is how you make the spin of the direction of the electrons using the electron configuration for the quantum number 4. Yan. So, if you want to make other examples, you just make use of the electron configuration from the elements using the atomic number, and then practice drawing the spin of arrows up and down in your example. So that's it for our discussion on electron configuration. For my experience during my discussion from the previous year, this is quite confusing for my students at medyo litong-lito sila sa mga pagkakasunod-sunod ng 1S, 2S, 3S, 3P, and so on. I just advise you to just use this diagram in order for you to help in making the electron configuration. Kung hindi man kayang memoryahin, it's okay. Hindi man kailangan talagang memoryahin. You just practice making this diagram to help you make the electron configuration. And this ends my discussion on electron configuration. Napakadali lang nito. You just intindihin lang mabuti for you to understand the electron configuration, and I make this discussion as easy as I can for you to catch up with the discussion. And I know this electron configuration is part of the module 1 that you will answer for the first. We believe in the saying, practice makes perfect. Of course, you cannot take it as one perfect na agad. So you just practice yourself making a lot of electron configuration. Kung gusto mo, lahatin mo yung elements as much as you can. But do not forget to practice. Kasi hindi naman syempre makakaya ng isang gawaan lang. But if you can, that's very good as long as natutunan mo. This ends my discussion for the module 1 for the second quarter on our chemistry, and stay tuned for the next videos for the next week's lesson. And I hope you get these ideas from the videos and use it to answer your modules. I hope to see you again on my next videos, and please do not forget to subscribe kung hindi ka pa nagsusubscribe sa channel for you to have an update of the latest videos that I am making. And see you again!